Hey, what's up, everybody? If you appreciate the format and you appreciate what we're doing here, then make sure you contribute to the Cash App, make sure you contribute to the PayPal, make sure you donate to the Super Chat. It's only you and your contributions that keep this thing going. Thanks. If you're enjoying the content here at Dennis Sperling Unfiltered, make sure you support it by sharing, and subscribing to the channel. And also, hit that little notification bell in the corner so that you'll get notice of each and every one of our live feeds.
What's up, fellas? This is Uncle D, and I am back at it. Look, you guys, I dedicate a lot of time to this. You know, my girlfriend, soon to be fiance, she just gave me an earful because we were at Sunday evening dinner at this nice restaurant. And I said, I gotta rush home. I'm already like an hour late. I gotta go home and talk to the fellas on, about this subject, because I promised it that I'd do it. And so I just want you guys to realize I dedicate a lot of time and energy to putting these broadcasts together. It's not something I just willy-nilly do. I want to make sure that I give you guys some substance. You have a lot of choices on YouTube. You got a lot of different people that you could listen to, and the fact that you guys consistently come back here and I'm always getting at least 1,000, sometimes 2,000 guys listening. It lets me know that you guys are really scrutinizing what I'm doing. So I want to make sure that I give, I make it worth your while. I think that's the least I can do. So, but I sacrifice a lot. I just want you guys to know that. And I'm, overjoyed sometimes by some of the message that I get from you guys. Some very heartfelt messages. Sometimes a fella say stuff like, you saved my life, and that also it makes me take what I'm doing extremely seriously. So thank you guys. I appreciate it. That said, I'm going to start putting the music that I play, those songs that you guys hear. That's music that I've recorded. It's very smooth music, but the music is under my performing name, D.DAMONN, like as in Dennis Damon Sperling. You can find the music on Spotify. The link is in the description below, and the link is also in the chat room right now. So if you guys like the music, check it out. You can stream it for free all day at D.DAMONN at Spotify. It's pretty much everywhere, but you guys can check that out. So the link is in the chat room. But either way, let's get back to the business at hand. This is the second service for today, and I wanted to talk to you guys about a very interesting subject that I think is interesting, and that is the story of Babel, the Tower of Babel specifically. And this lesson is entitled, When Man's Technology Outstrips His Morality, the story of Babylon, the Tower of Babel. So the Tower of Babel is a narrative in Genesis 11:1-9, is an origin meant to explain why world's people speak a different language. So they say. That's somebody interpreting, saying that's what it's about. I see more in there. Okay. And so that's why I'm coming at you guys like this. Now, in Genesis 11:1, it reads as follows. And the whole earth was of one language and of one speech. It came to pass as they journeyed from east that they found a plain in the land of Shinar, and they dwelt there. And they said one to another, go to, let us make brick and burn them thoroughly. And they had brick for stone, and slime had they for mortar. And they said, go to, let us build us a city and a tower whose top may reach unto heaven. And let us make us a name, lest we be scattered abroad upon the face of the whole earth. And the Lord came down to see the city and the tower, which the children of men builded. And the Lord said, behold, the people is one, and they have all one language. And this they began to do. And now nothing will be restrained from them, which they have imagined to do. Go to, let us go down, and there confound their language, that they may not understand one another's speech. So the Lord scattered them abroad from thence upon the face of all earth, and they left off to build the city. Therefore is the name of it called Babel, because the Lord did there confound the language of all the earth, and from thence did the Lord scatter them abroad upon face of all the earth. All right, so that's Genesis 11:1. Now, you guys, you could read that and like, okay, you're sitting there with your grandma in church and the preacher's reading that. You don't know what they're saying. Most of us don't know what they're saying because we haven't had an opportunity to really dig into it. But that's what we're going to do today, because we're thinking men and we see things for what it is, because now there's a different time that we live in. You know, this is the age of the red pill, the age of knowledge. So here's the thing, according to the story, and I'm gonna break it down in layman's terms, right? We read the King James Word, but basically, according to the story, a united human race in generations following the great flood, i.e. Noah and the flood, right? Speaking a single language and migrating eastward, comes to a land called Shinar. There they agree to build a city and a tower tall enough to reach heaven. God, observing their city and tower, confounds their speech. In other words, he messes with their speech. You speak this language, you speak that, a bunch of different languages. And so they can no longer understand each other, and he scatters them around the earth. Now, here's the thing. This story is saying that man had come together to build this great tower. What does the tower represent? It represents a high point of technology. Okay, so it meant that they had to get to a level of technology. They had to get to, you got to know engineering, you got to know all sorts of stuff, complicated math to get to the point where you could build a tower to heaven. Imagine it, those of you who are engineering students. So what does this signify? This is signifying that man was building his technology, right? These individuals, these people who all spoke the same language, they were sharing this information amongst each other. All the peoples on the earth got together and one collective brain, basically put together, you know, because everybody was able to speak the same language. And they were trying to build a tower to heaven so they could see it, even though they did not earn the right to see it. The only people allowed to see heaven is who? God, the angels, the righteous, people like that. This is a story not just about a physical building. This is a story about what? This is a story about, and see, Stanley Collins, I get it. We're talking biblical stuff like that, but I have to make this so people can understand. See, this is not just a story about building a tower. This is about man's technology outstripping his morality. And there's cases of this that have gone on so many different places, but we're going to talk about it here. So at this point, you didn't earn the right to go see the magnificence of heaven. You're not God. You're not one of God's angels. So how is it that you want to use your technology to get to where heaven is? You want to use your technology to build you to the point where you're on the level with God. That's basically what they're saying they're doing. We're trying to get our point. We're trying to get to the point where we control life and death. We can create life. We can create energy. We can do all that. That's what this story is trying to explain. Now, what was God's response? God destroyed the tower and changed their languages. Okay, so here's the thing. Why is it that God didn't just forbid this technology? Okay, they weren't sinning. He didn't kill anybody. He just changed their languages and spread them around the earth. What is the effect of that? See, what does that do? Well, the first effect was they stopped building the building. Why? Because they couldn't communicate anymore. They couldn't use their collective brains and because you don't understand what this Chinese man is saying. The Chinese man doesn't understand what the man who speaks Spanish is saying. And the French guy doesn't understand either one of them. So they can't put their collective minds together and exchange this information and begin to and continue with the building. So what? So now you got knowledge barriers. And here's another thing you got to understand. There's competition now because now you speak different. Well, I'm gonna get to that in a minute, but here's what's the result. So we got the language change so they can't communicate. So the buildings stop. And he also scattered them around the earth. What does that do? What happens when you scatter someone around the earth? People are living in different climates. They're living in different atmospheres, different regions, some in the mountains, some in the valleys, some in the pastures, somewhere it's hot, somewhere it's cold, some on islands. All right. Now, here's the thing you have to understand. There's a reason why forcing them or confusing the language was important. When you confuse somebody's language, well, first of all, understand that language is the key to culture. Your language and your culture, they coexist. They one feeds on the other. If a person understands your language, he understands your culture. So language is the key to culture. Now, couple that with you living in different places, so different. Your language is different. Your culture is going to evolve different. The physical displacement means you have a different understanding of the world. As I said before, if you're growing up, if your people are scattered to another language and they speak scattered to another land and they speak a language that's different than some other people, and you live in an area where it's icy, where it's cold, where it's unforgiving, the earth is hostile towards you, in that the weather can kill you, the weather can kill your children, versus somebody who lives near the equator where it's hot and there's plenty of food and there's plenty of water and there's plenty of temperate climate. You're going to have a different perspective on the world. Ice people versus desert people. You grew up in a desert, it's hostile, resources are limited. The earth can kill you, the weather can kill you. You're going to have a different, there's going to be a shortage. So you're going to have a shortage of the needs and the resources that you need. So what will you do? You'll have a xenophobic, warlike attitude. And this is a result of growing up in a hostile, uninhabitable part of the earth. People like that, they don't love the earth. They hate the earth. They despise the earth. The earth has killed them through cold and heat and all that sort of stuff. So they have a different perspective versus someone who grew up in a humid, abundant, humid climate, an environment where there's plenty of fruit and wildlife, in a mild climate. Those type of people work with the earth because the earth is their friend. The earth provides. Look at the difference between when the Native Americans came to the United States, or what was at that time North America, versus the Europeans. Now, the Europeans are coming from Northern Europe. They had a perspective of the world that the earth was bad. People died. That was bad. Native Americans, you would die, you would still be part of the tribe. They prayed to their ancestors. Europeans, they didn't pray. They just wanted to get rid of their ancestors, run away from them. Here's another thing. What did Native Americans do? They planted, even when they planted their farming, they put their plants and whatnot next to the other trees. They didn't clear cut it. Europeans cleared them. They had no respect for the earth. This is the difference. The Europeans did what? They killed animals, for furs. Native Americans, they prayed to the animals. They had a different perspective. This is our brother bear. They had just a different perspective on the earth because of the climate and because of the location that they grew up in, or their culture was created in. They had a different perspective, and then they couldn't communicate. So it was different. Now, here's the other thing you got to understand: when you got different cultures, different perspectives, different locations on earth, different people, different languages, what do you got? You have tribes come about. And so conflict and tribalism, And tribalism is the root of racism and bigotry and chauvinism. Of course, I'm going to say I'm better than you. Of course not. I'm not going to say I'm worse than you and I'm competing with you for the limited resources on this earth. I'm going to pick a reason. It could be because you're a brunette and I'm a blonde. It could be because you have blue eyes and I have brown eyes. It could be because you're dark and I'm light. Or you're black, I'm brown. Whatever it is. This is the source of it. This is the differences in the people. This is what we have because your tribe is against my tribe. And here's another thing. If we're in different tribes, I'm not going to share my language. I'm not going to share my technological progress with you. I'm going to keep that shielded away from you. This is because we're competition. We're not friends. We're different. So you won't be so apt to share because by human nature, we want to compete with others who are with the opposing tribes. Now, if you live in the same place with somebody and you speak the same language as was the case of the people of Babel, then you're in the same tribe and you'll work together. So now, this is why there was a separation. This is what happened by separating and giving them a different language, different cultures evolved, and that slowed the progress of technology around. It slowed the technology because, we weren't speaking the same language. Now, the question remains, why did God change people's languages? So I answered that. Why did he do it in the first place? Really, why would you do that? Here's the thing. You're now trying to build a tower to heaven. You're now basically saying we have enough knowledge that we can get on the same level as God. We have understanding of all these different sciences and everything, Christianity, and it's all of it. The religions, the science, the magic, whatever it was. We're on the secrets of the universe. We know now we can get to heaven with what we know. In other words, we're on the same level of God. This is what they were basically saying. Here's the problem. We don't match our morality with our technology. All right. What does that mean? It means our knowledge of science and all these other things, it surpasses our morality. And what happens when man develops his mind and body of knowledge, but his morality does not keep pace? See, our capacity to build is equal to our capacity to destroy. In other words, human beings, we can build and we can destroy. We have as much capacity to build as we have to destroy. But here's the difference. It takes lifetimes and centuries to build, but only moments to destroy. It's simple. It's a simple equation. Your immorality must match your knowledge so that you won't destroy faster than you build. When your morality surpasses your knowledge, then you'll build more, but you won't destroy as much. We haven't arrived at that stage of development. Here's some examples of situations when our knowledge surpasses our morality. We master the gun, and what do? We create wars, right? We learn chemistry and these sort of things, and what do? The Nazis, they use it to kill 6 million Jewish people in the Holocaust, right? Wage World War II. We master sailing technology, and what does it do? We use it to foster the European slave trade, where they brought hundreds or millions of Africans, kidnapped them from Africa and brought them to the New World, North America, South America, Central America. We learn about nuclear technology, but instead of building unlimited sources of energy, what do we use? We use it to create atom bombs, and we drop bombs on Nagasaki and Hiroshima. Yes, we have the technology, but our morality does not match that knowledge. Now, what do we have? We have the internet, and it leads to worldwide communication instantaneously, giving rise to the great ability of man to develop its technology all around the world, right? We can communicate instantly all around. But what do? We get porn from Malaysia. We get porn from Alaska. We get porn from South America. This is what we use it for. Instead of using it to say, you know what? We're going to have a professor from Japan teach you today about some sort of special stuff. No, what we do is we ship porn all around the world. And whether you think about it or not, it's still immoral, whether you do it or not. We create biological agents like COVID-19. We have massive. Here's another one. Here's another one that'll hit home for most of you guys. We master chemistry, and what do? We create high fructose corn syrup, which we use to replace sugar and to generate more profits. even though it's destroying people's lives, because people are not designed to process high fructose sugar in their body. So what happens? It's like 2 or 3 times more sugar, and so we get an uptick in obesity since 1970 when it was put in place. This is what we do, and you guys don't believe this is a problem. 80% of Black women are overweight. 80% of that number of Black women are obese. Why is that? It's because, and it's been since 1970. That's why you can look at photographs from Black women before the 1970s, and you can see how slender they are. But you look at the ones now, and you see, and a lot of it has to do with a poor quality diet, all of these different additives like high fructose corn syrup, because the companies are more interested in making a profit than they are health. And for you brothers, it's right there at your footstep too. Black men, cardiovascular disease, heart disease, diabetes, largely due because of the diet. So what am I saying? What I'm saying is that we as a species, our knowledge outstrips our morality, and God could see that. Now, you know, if you look at the story of Genesis, you could say, wow, why would, man, God just intervene like that? Well, some could say, you know, maybe they got tired and they decided to move around and the language changed. But the bottom, you know, they moved around, they got tired of being, who knows? But this is still part of a great cycle. We build and then we destroy ourselves. Societies have risen, civilizations have risen, and then they've been destroyed. Look at all the great civilizations that have been destroyed by Timbuktu, Kemet, Rome, all these great societies. They have built themselves up and then they were destroyed by other human beings. Why? Because our knowledge outstrips our morality. See, humanity gets to a point where our ability to build and create outstrips our morality and we destroy ourselves. This cycle ends and then we begin again. I think Revelation signifies the end of the world and the new beginning of a new world. Look at what we're dealing with now, global warming, right? The rise of the ocean climate, billions of people because, you know, millions and billions of people may die because of climate change. And why is this happening? Because our technology, because our cars, because of the fossil fuels that we use. So what are we? We are bringing about our own demise because we're more interested in profit, because we're immoral in that regard. Our knowledge has outstripped our morality. There's expected to be 7 billion people on this planet by the end of the century. So what's going to happen? Our technology has made life so easy for us that we can breed and just overpopulate the earth. But eventually what's going to happen is that's going to lead to mass starvation and a die-off. So this is what I'm trying to tell you guys. This is the end goal. This is the end result of our technology. Now, look, I would love to have you guys come in and have this conversation with me. I believe that there are sound biblical principles for this thing that I'm saying. And I believe that the story of Babel simply demonstrates to us that, yeah, we have a propensity to knowledge. We're made in the image of God. We're supposed to be intelligent. We're supposed to be sentient beings. We're supposed to be. But we have to always make sure that our morality keeps up with our knowledge. Otherwise, we will destroy ourselves. I gave some examples. I want you guys to come in. The link is in the chat room. In the meantime, I want to say thank you to D-Rock Den for $4.99 for the super sticker. Thank you, T.I. Manji. I appreciate you for the cash app. And then also Edward Smith. Thank you for the cash app. If you guys appreciate what I'm doing, clearly this is not something you guys are hearing everywhere. Nobody else is talking about this kind of stuff. And I invite you to come in. Show me where I'm wrong. Show me where my logic is flawed. Show me where I missed something in the Bible. I am not a biblical scholar. I don't hold myself out, but I know there's truth in this word. I know God's word is there. I know that these laws that govern mankind that have been in existence, or at least written down for some odd 2,000 years, they're meaningful. And this is what I'm saying. And this is a good lesson. This is a lesson that I believe that we need to understand, that if your knowledge outstrips your morality, you will destroy yourself. Please come in. Let's have this conversation. The link is in the chat room. I'm going to put it in a couple more times. My man Keith Lashley said the word Babel means gate of the gods in the Babylon language. That's very interesting. So what is that? What's behind the gate? Probably something important, right? Probably knowledge, probably the knowledge of the gods. If they got a gate up, they don't want you there. Have we earned that knowledge of the God? You know, maybe it's through morality that we get to the point where we learn that knowledge, or we're entitled to learn it, i.e., you know, we were, God decided to stop us by confusing us and scattering us around the earth because we hadn't learned that. This is what I'm thinking. I would love for you guys to come in. The link is in the chat room. Please come in, join the conversation. We got some time. You know, I want you guys to come on in. Trying to, let's see, my man said, Keith Lashley said, trying to up in. Come on in, man. Let's have this conversation. And in the meantime, Complex Design, what's up? How you doing?
I'm good, Mr. Sperling. How are you?
I'm good, man. I think this is a very interesting concept. I think this is a very interesting conversation that we can have. I think that the principle is sound. What are your thoughts on this?
Me?
Yes, sir. What do you think about it, Complex Design?
Man, I think the Tower of Babel.
Wait,
well, go ahead, Complex Design. What are you saying?
I'm not. Was there somebody else speaking?
Yeah, no, it's you. Yeah, I had two people speak. I'm Complex Design. You're in, and then Keith Lashley is next. Go ahead.
Got it. Okay. All right. If I understand, you're saying that you're saying that more tech. I'm trying to get the premise right.
I'm saying that if we, as human beings, if our knowledge outstrips our morality, we will destroy ourselves. That's what I'm saying. That's the basic principle.
Okay. And so for what I would say to that is that that's perfectly fine because technology has a resolution for that. So if you do destroy yourself, then that's okay. What I would actually say is you need to take morality out of the conversation altogether and talk mastery of technology. We have to have a whole completely different conversation. I think taking that approach would be a bit, it would kind of reflect kind of a Luddite position on technology.
So what do you mean by when you say morality? Give us your definition of morality.
Morality needs to be ensconced into your creation of technology. Whatever it is that you use, you create it from a moral basis, right? Like whatever it is that you're going to create with technology, you're going to be using it for the moral good. And
all right, so I'm going to ask you a question.
Sure.
I'm sure there were scientists who came up with nuclear fission and nuclear fusion and said this can be used to fuel the world, limitless energy, clean energy. We don't have to dig up no more fossil fuels, no more, you know, people who don't have power, the whole shebang, you know, third world countries, first world countries, or modern, or as they say, more developed countries, least developed countries would be on an even footing. But then somebody said, you know what? I could use this to make a bomb. So how can we, you might have created, people who invented it might have created it and they had good intentions in mind, right. But then somebody took that same thing and said, well, I can make a bomb with this and kill innocent brown people or black people or whatever people.
Yeah, and people have killed people with some of the most mundane household items, right? And they weren't intended to be used to kill someone, right?
Yeah, like give me an example. Like what? Like a bat or a stick?
Yeah, a baseball bat is used for
a rock.
Yeah, that you typically, you know, or you know, a brick. So you know, these are actually things that are intended
to have
be
considered technology or an advancement if we were on the level of the primates. The primate using hand-to-hand combat. The one that picks up a stick or throws a rock at another one is using technology. Yes, you can use that stick to poke at a honey comb and pull some honey out, but you can also use that stick to hit somebody else. So what I'm saying is your knowledge, hey, this stick can do this, this nuclear bomb can do this, or this nuclear fission can do this, but it can also do this. But see, our morality should hold us in check. See, but our morality but our knowledge outstrips our morality. We hadn't got to that point where we say, no, this is not something we're going to do because it goes against our moral beliefs, period.
Right.
Nobody's going to, we haven't got there yet. That's what I'm saying.
No, some of us have, some of us haven't. And that's actually the schism. Okay. Because the people who create it with an intent, right? And then there's other people who understand the technology and they say, okay, I could use it for this as well. That may not have been the intent of the person who created it. However, there's other people who understand the technology and then they use it for whatever it means that they choose to use it for. And the whole point here is that tech is basically what it is that a human decides to do with something.
Okay. So now do you understand why God separated us?
Separated who?
According to the story of Babel, you see, because you basically just made my point. Some of us will, some of us won't. Mm-hmm. So the best thing to do is slow down the development of technology by scattering these people around the world and making them speak different languages so they can't come together with their collective intelligence speaking the same language and advance faster than they should. I'm going to give them some more time for their morality to develop. You understand the wisdom then of that story? Because it's right. You just laid it out.
Well, but in the fourth industrial paradigm, it doesn't quite work that way, and that's the whole thing.
But it does, because you said this. Some people will be bound by their morality, some won't. And so, what is God saying? We can't have all these people come together and advance in technology so fast. So I'm going to slow this thing down. I'm going to slow walk this thing because some people aren't ready. So yeah, some people, they may come up with an invention here. They may come up with an invention here. They'll do some damage there, but they won't get to that level of the God knowledge. They won't be able to get to the level of the knowledge of heaven because they haven't earned it, because their morality does not match their knowledge level. That's, you just said.
No, yeah. Well, I didn't say exactly that.
Well, you said that some people will and some people won't. Well,
right. When I say some people will,
so if people come together,
let me contextualize it. When I say some people will,
okay. Well, let me. I want to ask you a question, and then you can answer it, and then you can contextualize it. If people come together, and because they can speak the same language, and because they're in the same location, they build faster, so the technology develops faster. Mm-hmm. You can slow them down by scattering them around the world, right? So they're not in the same location and causing them to speak different languages because there's a language barrier. That in turn will slow the technology, the development of technology down. Is that correct?
No. And the reason why I say
you don't think that by scattering people around the earth and making them speak different languages so they can't communicate, you don't think that'll slow the development of technology down?
Nope. Now,
it does.
I would like
to explain why people. Okay, well, I'm gonna ask you a question, but I'm gonna give you a chance. But you come in, and I want to get it out. We got to get it out. How is it that people who speak the same language are in the same location? You're saying that the people who are in the same language speak the same language in the same location, or should I say it like this? People in different locations who speak a different language will be able to develop technology as fast as people who are working together in the same location and speak the same language. You're basically saying language barriers don't matter and proximity doesn't matter. That's what you're saying, complexes.
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
I disagree with you. Go ahead and make your point, and then we're going to go to Keith Lash.
I mean, you could disagree, but the reality is that.
The reality is, if you got people who are speaking different languages and they're far apart from each other, they can't communicate and they don't come on the same. They can't build as fast as people who are speaking the same language and right there next to each other, putting it together. What
I would like to do is
go ahead.
Thank you. Okay. Yeah. So the mere fact that I utilize platforms like Upwork and Fiverr literally throw that notion in the trash.
Well, tell us about Upwork and Fiverr. What does that do?
That's how it is that I outsource work for my tech company.
All right, tell us what that does though, specifically. Because what you're going to tell us is it allows you to communicate with people overseas in different places who don't speak the same language. That's what you're going to tell us.
No, what I'm going to tell you is that my partner might speak a different language, which he does. Mm-hmm.
he speaks Chinese and Swahili. So since I have a business partner that speaks that, I don't necessarily have to do it. But if I need to get some work done, I have a resource to go to who can utilize the talents of someone who may not speak the same language that I can, but can actually get the work done. Now, I want to circle back.
Wouldn't things go faster if you spoke the same language of the person that you were actually working with, and you wouldn't have to go through a middleman to get it done?
Not particularly, no. Because if it did, then
brother, you telling me? Let me no, come on now.
Okay,
you telling me? Listen.
No,
I'm going to ask the questions, please.
I know.
And I'll let you get your point. I'll let you get the point in, but you're going to have to help me make this point, and we're going to have to fish it out. You're telling me that if you're communicating as fast as you got a person that you got to go through to get something done, you're still able to communicate as fast as you would if you were able to communicate directly with the person who's getting the thing done. You're basically telling us that third party that is between you and the person that you need to get things done is of no factor. Is no weight at all.
Yes, unequivocally, yes.
I'm going to disagree, but go ahead.
You can disagree. Well, that's the thing, right? I mean, you're disagreeing. You disagreeing is irrelevant, right? Because I actually leverage it and utilize it for my own tech startup, right? So I can I can unequivocally speak to it. If you disagree, it's because it's something that you don't necessarily use in your practice.
No,
however,
I'm just saying it makes no sense for me. If I got somebody right, here, I can say, hey, you go over there across the street and dump the trash, as opposed to you tell that guy, you go over there and tell him.
I don't need somebody to dump the trash. That's the thing.
I'm using that as an example because
I know you're using that as an example, but it doesn't apply. But no, dumping the trash out. Well,
I'm using an analogy that's easy for people to understand.
You're using an analogy that doesn't apply to why it is.
I can tell the person who I want to do it to go do it. I don't have to tell the person to go do something to tell somebody else.
You're using an analogy that doesn't apply to why it is that I utilize it, right? Because I don't need somebody overseas to take out the trash. So let's put
what do you need them? You need there's a task that they have to do, right?
Yes.
And there's a person that you have, because you don't speak the language that they speak, you have to tell another person to tell them to do that task, right?
Well, no, it's my business partner. He does it.
Okay, but that's another person, right?
Well, he goes ahead and just does it. I don't have to tell anything. I just wait till it's done.
How does he know that you need that done, sir?
Because he's my business partner.
So he just knows what's on your mind? Is that what you're telling? Like you don't tell?
No. Hey, so here's what we do. We do regular business calls.
Hey, so that's all I'm saying. And
wait, you cut me off. You just cut me off.
I know, because you're arguing a point.
No, I'm trying to answer the question.
Well, no, you're arguing a point. You're kind of losing ground with everybody.
No, I'm not actually. You just asked me. How is it?
Go ahead, man. Go ahead. It's your show. Go ahead.
No, it's your show, but I'm trying to answer the question. I'm trying to be respectful. So if you ask me a question, please grant me the courtesy of completion. Please.
All right, go ahead, sir.
Thank you. Thank you. All right. So if you're asking me how it is that my partner gives directives to someone overseas to complete some coding or some development or something, well, he and I have nightly business calls, right? And we kind of go through a checklist of items that need to get done. And then there's certain things that he takes care of. And then there's certain things that I take care of. So I don't really need to deal with that because he does it, because he's the one who speaks Mandarin, Swahili, and maybe one or two other languages. I don't. So that's not my focus. So he takes care of it. Does that make sense to you?
It does. Now I'm gonna ask you a question. Okay. How would you get that work done if your partner disappeared?
Well, we've been in business together for 4 years.
How would you get that work done with that third party if your partner disappeared?
I would reassign it to someone else.
Okay, so you wouldn't be able to get that work done directly yourself.
No, because I don't.
And why is that?
Because I don't. I'm going to answer because I don't do the work that we're outsourcing, right? So what I'll do is I'll outsource it to someone else.
It's because there's a language barrier, sir.
No, what I just said was I didn't outsource it to him. So if for whatever reason we couldn't do it with that person anymore, I'll just reassign it to someone else.
No, sir. I say your business partner disappeared.
I know. So if for whatever reason,
the one that speaks Swahili and Mandarin, who communicates with people overseas who speak Swahili and Mandarin or whatever Mandarin. Because he now disappeared, you would now not have that level of communication with that person, that third party, because you don't speak Mandarin.
Right.
So there's a language barrier.
right. So I'll reassign
That's
it
the
to
whole
someone.
point. That's all I'm saying, brother.
Okay,
That's
but
all
that's
I was
fine.
saying. Is a language
No,
barrier slows you down.
it
That was the
doesn't.
whole point of
But
this
no, I'm
thing.
saying you're saying a language barrier, and I'm
All
telling you there's technological platforms that solve that
I get
problem. That's why you're making it an issue. And I'm like, actually, we've been
I'm
doing it
not
for
making
4
an
years.
issue.
And
I'm just pointing out. So basically what you're saying is we've gotten back to the point where communication of different languages, we're still able to communicate even though we're in different languages because technology has allowed us to advance to the point
yes.
that the languages that we speak,
Yes.
right?
You ever use Google Translate?
What does that mean? We're now able to come together collectively
have you ever used
again.
Google Translate?
Let me finish talking, sir. We're now able to come together collectively again, as we were at that time, or at that time after the flood, where all people could come together and communicate. There's no more language barriers, and that's the whole point of me bringing this up. The subject is timely because of that.
So no. Well, Google has a tool called Translate. No, Google has a tool called Translate, right? So when you say, okay. So that there's not as much of a language barrier as you think.
Brother, I'm not saying my whole point of having this conversation tonight is to point out that we are in the same times as they were then. Our knowledge outstrips our technology, and now we no longer have the distance barrier. We no longer have the language barrier because our technology allows us to communicate. That was the whole point of this whole me having this conversation with these brothers tonight. And this is where we are now. But thank you. I appreciate you. I mean, look, this is brilliant. This is just what I needed. This is just what we needed. I'm not upset with you, man, but I just wanted to get that out. You're very logical.
Fine. No, you're fine. It was just that there were more cohesive points that I was trying to get out, and I kept getting interrupted. But you're good. I appreciate it.
Yeah, but it's not that we need to get out what we need to get out. And you got it out.
No,
you made the point.
You do because the thing was you asked people to come up, right? That had like
I cross-examine people, brother. That's what I do. I cross-examine.
I know. But what you have to do is you have to allow for a completion of thought.
I don't. I have to get out the point that I'm trying to get out. That's what I'm trying to do.
So did I.
You did a good job. You did just what I needed you to do.
What was that?
You helped me explain why we're here tonight, that language is a barrier if you're trying to communicate with third parties. You did a great job.
No, so wait, I thought
give me a minute. We've been talking to you for a minute. Let me talk to Keith and then Tyson, and we'll be right back to you in a minute. Hang in there, man. But you did a good job, brother. It's all good. This is what we do here. All right, Keith Lashley, how you doing, man? Do you understand the point that I'm trying to make, the whole point of bringing this up? We've gotten to the point now with the internet. You can be across the world in seconds. You can see what's going on in, Afghanistan and China. You can instantaneously with the Google apps. You can actually go online, and your computer can translate language from a letter from somewhere in some language you never understood or never even thought to understand. So we're now at the point where technology and our ability to communicate outstrips our morality. So where are we headed? What's going to happen? What are your thoughts? And the floor is yours.
I wanted to first answer back to what Complex Design was saying, and I understand how he feels. He says he has someone else who does the tech side, okay? But in technology, okay, the different languages, the different people using it, but it's all a lot of the stuff that code is made in the English language. When you study a computer programming language, it's made in a language. Even if that person does not speak English,
thank you.
That's not the point, brother. That's not the point.
The
point is we can communicate
language.
No, the point is we can all communicate now.
We can communicate now. That's what I'm saying.
That's the point of this whole message, that we are at the point now where we on this earth can all communicate.
And it's coming like more gradually and more evasively than we really understand.
Yeah, but what is going to happen? What happened last time we all could communicate according to this biblical passage?
Well, we all thought, like I said, like Babel means gate of the gods in Babylonian.
Well, yeah, but what did we try to do when we all could communicate?
Okay, listen. When we do that, we are trying to be gods when we leave our morality. and that's what I was trying to get at. So
Yeah,
the issue.
But I don't think we're trying to be gods when we leave our morality. I think we're trying to be gods because our knowledge will allow us to get to that point, but our morality does not match our knowledge. See, the last time we could communicate, according to Genesis 11:1 and 9, we tried to go and see what we tried to match our knowledge with the knowledge of God. What is the knowledge of God? What is the power? Life and death, energy, making energy, creating worlds, right? These are magnificent creations, right? But earlier on, I said that human beings, we are as creative as we are destructive.
Yeah, correct.
You see the danger in that?
Yeah.
If we're at the point where we can now create worlds and create matter and create energy, how dangerous then are we to the universe, if you will?
Well, I think that, you know, one, man can try to do what they want to do, what we want to do, but ultimately man is never going to be above God. So if God doesn't want something to happen, it's just not going to happen.
But brother, if okay, I get that. I'll accept that as the ultimate premise. But my point is, if taking is true that our ability to create is matched by our ability to destroy, right? What does it mean that we can now create worlds? We can create matter. We can create energy. What does that mean? What is your background? What is your background?
Well, I'm a right now university professor, and I also freelance as a.
What's your back?
I'm born in America, but my parents from the Caribbean.
Hold on, brother. Biology, chemistry, physics. What's your educational background? Technology. What's your educational background?
Self-taught cloud engineer.
Okay, so are you familiar with the laws of thermodynamics? I know many of you guys are. It's one basic principle.
Not me.
Matter and energy can't be created or destroyed. God did it because that's how it showed up. So now we're at the point now where we're able to do what God does, and that is what? Create energy, create matter. Then that means we can also destroy energy, destroy matter. The universe is created, the energy, matter, whatever. So that means we are now approaching the point where we can destroy the whole damn universe, all of God's creation. Do you see how dangerous that is? That's my whole point of this message. See, when our morality outstrips, or when our knowledge outstrips our morality, we become dangerous because, like Complex Design said, yes, some of us will do it, and we've reached that higher self, and we're not ever going to use this nuclear energy or this nuclear technology to kill people. We'll just use it for good. But some of us won't. You see? And the higher we rise in our knowledge base, because now we can communicate unlimited. It doesn't matter if you live in Japan and somebody else lives in South Africa, you speak 2 different languages. You're able to communicate. There are no more communication barriers. You can communicate directly with whoever, even if it's through a computer technology. Bottom line is, this is where we're headed right now. This is what I'm trying to say. This is why this message is timely. And this is why I don't understand why these modern day pastors and folks don't talk to you all about this. See, this is the lesson that I'm trying to get you guys to think about. Your morality has to match your knowledge, or else you become dangerous to yourselves and everybody else. That's the whole point of this message. But go ahead. And then I'm going to go to Tyson.
Okay. I'm also, you asked me what my background is. I can answer that in a timely manner. I'm also a linguist. I speak several languages. And you study history, the further forward we go back in time, okay, people come the further back you go back in time, like Babel, we're talking about the Tower of Babel, the languages are actually more similar.
Mm-hmm.
So we've always had this dilemma, like, okay, first, we understand each other because the languages are similar. Or right now, we understand each other because we have technology we can communicate. We've always had this dilemma where are we so powerful that we're going to destroy the world? The atom bomb.
So I'm going to ask you a question because I want you to answer something based on your knowledge as a linguist. You said that at that time period, our languages were similar.
Yes.
Right? So what does that mean? Does it mean that and I'm going to treat you like I treat an expert witness. Does it mean that we were living in close proximity?
Not all of us, but
okay.
still.
What I'm saying is, if you got a certain region, a certain group of people based on migration, habits and certain stuff, if they live 20 miles away from each other and their language is similar but not identical, that's understandable, right?
Yeah.
And so if you've got another group of people that live 500 miles away and their language is similar, but it's still not as similar as the people who live, it's not as similar as those people who live 20 miles away. Is it fair to say those people have been separated longer?
Yeah, they've been separated longer, but like,
right. Okay,
now,
so is it fair to say the further you are away from each other, the languages will be more different, even though they might have a similar origin? The further you get away from each other, more different. So that's my whole point, brother. The reason they made them speak different. God said, y'all scatter about. You spoke different languages, and I'm sure as a linguist you understand a lot about culture too. You grow up in an ice climate where you got polar bears trying to eat you, and you got a scarcity of food. You're gonna have a different perspective on that earth, of the earth, than a person who grew up in a hot tropical climate somewhere with coconuts and pineapples and animals running around there where you can eat every day, right?
You alluded to that earlier in another podcast you had about the difference between how Africans think and how Europeans think.
I think there's a book called The Iceman Chronicles or something like that came out in the 80s and 90s. We kind of talk about that, but anyway, bro, I appreciate you. I want to go ahead. You want add something else if you want to, and then I'm gonna go Tyson. Go ahead.
Before I I don't want to take up this whole show. But what I'm trying to say is that the Tower of Babel, all right, the reason why that was split up was not just because of a merging of languages, but I think it was because of a unification of purpose, where man was trying to outplace God. And right now,
and how did they communicate that mutual purpose?
Same language, but
they
now,
spoke. Right. And what happens when they stop being able to speak the same language?
They can't do it as fast, but it's not the end of it. That's what I'm saying.
And then what happened when God spread them around the world?
Well, that's what
they couldn't do. You said them not being able to speak languages caused for them to slow it down, right? And what happens when you cause them to spread around the world? You scatter them about. That slows it down even more.
No. Right? What happens when they're spread across? You're right. But what happens after that is that people become reunited. That's what I'm trying to get at. Right now, we're at the age. We're at the end of that. I feel right now we're at the age where people are beginning to speak more or less the same language. Like, complex design said, I can speak to somebody who I can work and he doesn't speak the same language. I'm saying, no, it's not. It is the same language because he's using technology and the other person's using technology. And that's still like a similar language that connects the two.
Right. So here's the thing. Just because you can speak the same language, if you're a black man and you can, let's just say it like this. Okay. So you're a black man, you live in America, right? You're dealing with some neo-Nazi over in Germany. You think y'all can work together on a common purpose that benefits him? How would you feel about benefiting somebody?
No.
You couldn't do it because culturally you're different. Because first of all, you're at odds because you come from different tribes, or as we call it, races. And so part of the reason why we were scattered about, and the part of the reason why we were forced to speak different, because it slows down the coming together of us. I am in no way going to help some neo-Nazi come up with some sort of device, a mechanism, or plan that's going to undermine myself, my children, and other black folks that look like me. I'm not going to do it because and it's competing interests. First of all, he wants to eliminate me from this planet. And so hell no, I'm not going to help. And that's what happens when people get different cultures, different tribes, different things. They become competitive. It's the nature of human beings. I think we can all agree on that.
What if you invented a cell phone? What if you?
We gotta let Keith speak. Go ahead, Keith. What do you say?
The Tower of Babel. Go back to Genesis 11. Right. The Tower of Babel wasn't just about language; it was about economy, and it was about. And some scholars even say it was about religion and purpose. So what we're having right now, what happens when the different peoples of the world unite, not just on the same language, but on the same philosophy, on the same religion, on the same culture?
Right. And what happens? What happened then? They tried to match wits with God. That's what happened. According to this Genesis 11:9, that's what they tried to do. And they wanted to match wits with God and put them they wanted knowledge they hadn't earned, according to this what God said in 11:5 and 6. You see what I'm saying? But thank you so much, Keith. I appreciate you, man. This has been this wonderful, beautiful conversation. I'm gonna go to Tyson, then Essential Entities, then Davion Bay. You guys, if you appreciate this level of conversation, it's contentious because people have their strong held beliefs. I know this is possibly something you've never even thought about. But I think it's interesting. And I think it's something that thinking Black men need to talk about. Again, my premise, I'm operating from the premise that when your knowledge outstrips your morality, you become dangerous. That's where I'm coming from. When your knowledge outstrips your morality as a group, we create the nuclear bombs. We create deadly chemical bombs. We create biohazards. We do stuff like we create all sorts of global phenomenon that eventually kills us. This is what I'm saying. This is where I'm saying. Tyson Milton, what's up, man? What do you think about this conversation, man? Am I overboard with it? Am I going too far? Is it blasphemous? Lord gonna strike me down. The floor is yours.
I think you've hit the points. You've hit the points that needed to be hit. And like, okay, with the first brother that came on, he's missing one small point, and we need to reduce that in order for him to understand it. That very small point is, I mean, I was born in 1973. There was no internet. There were no cell phones.
Right.
There was none of that. If I needed to talk to somebody in China, I had to learn that language or get a translator, and they can translate different. Even with Google Translate, it doesn't do it exactly what they were trying to say. And that's the point he's missing. That's the point he's missing. He's talking about all this technology. Yeah, I got locked up in 1993. I came home in 2002, and they're talking about put your application in online, and I'm asking, what is online?
Right.
There were no computers.
I think if I can get to what you're basically saying is like, yeah, that same technology that we're talking about, we've advanced to the point where we can now communicate again
exactly
to all people on all earth. And that was the greater point of this whole message. Like, yeah, we're back at the point now where we can communicate to each other. What happened last time when all of us could communicate and distance wasn't a barrier? That's what I'm saying. We tried to use that. Go ahead. Use that knowledge to match God. But go ahead.
So now what I'm saying is this. Just take it from the religious standpoint.
Right.
I've studied.
And look, let me make this point. The fact that we're able to have this conversation, and I'm pulling this information from a 2,000-year-old document, lets you know that the conditions of man have not changed. We've always been like this. My whole point of bringing this conversation up is because I want you Black men to get reinterested in the Bible and the Word of God. A lot of you all have been disillusioned. A lot of you all saw your grandmothers and the women in your family and the women in your life basically used and abused and robbed financially by these pulpit pimps. But don't allow that to dissuade you from getting to know what the Word of God is, because it's real. I'm telling you, I'm successful now. I'm who I am. I have a better understanding of life and a better roadmap to direct myself, because over the past 10 or 11 years, I've decided to rededicate myself to the Word of God. That's the whole point of having this conversation. Let's not lose that. We can talk about this and we can talk about that. I'm telling you guys, based on my interpretation of Genesis 11:1 and 9, is that what? that when man, the rule here, or what I see is that when man's knowledge outstrips his morality, he becomes dangerous and he becomes destructive. So don't let your knowledge, don't let what you become outstrip your morality. You got to be as good as you are, as smart as you are. You also have to be moral, and you have to be on point with God. That's what I'm telling you. That's the message that I'm sending you guys. Now we can talk back and forth about this point and this technology and that, but the bottom line is, fellas, don't lose your morality. That's what I'm trying to tell you, black men. Go ahead, Tyson, and then we're gonna go to essential entities.
Okay. When you talk about, okay, so when you brought that back up, because what I was about to say was I've studied several different spiritual what you call them, well, religion.
Now complex design, you left, hold on a minute. Now complex design, look, brother, he's left. I know who I'm speaking to when I hear him. And so, brother, I understand a lot of black people are disillusioned by the word of God. I know some of you all are offended, especially you tech guys. You don't really believe in God. The reason I know, because when I was working on both of my PhD programs, one in environmental molecular toxicology, the other one in environmental policy, and my master's degree at the same time, I ran across a lot of you brothers. Okay, I ran across a lot of you brothers that you don't really accept God. So what did he say? The reality is black people are afraid to become obsolete through tech. So rather than learn STEM, go pick up a Bible. Brother, they're not mutually exclusive. You see what I'm saying? Your morality and your knowledge of science and it's not, you just don't understand, brother. That's what I'm trying to tell you. I'm not trying to offend you, brother. I'm not trying to offend you, but I'm saying that you cannot allow your morality to lose the race against your technology, because you, like these people, you will destroy yourself. We've done it before. And so now that we have all these brothers and all these women and all these people on earth coming together and we're able to speak, you see what I'm saying? What are we going to do? What is going to happen now? Are we going to go back to trying to get on the level of God? Are we going to try to match with God again? We want the ability to create and destroy life. What are we going to do with that? I think that we're headed down the path of destruction. That's what I think. And I think we need to reattach ourselves to our morality and make sure that comes along with our knowledge. Because, you know, those whom great much is given, much is expected. And I expect more morality in your decisions. But Tyson, we got to get to essential entities, man. So he's been patiently waiting. Essential entities, what are your thoughts on this conversation? Essential entity, how you doing?
Peace. Can you hear me, brother?
I can hear you. Yes, sir. What are your thoughts on this conversation?
First of all, good evening, gentlemen. Thank you, Dennis, as always, for
no problem, brother. No problem.
You know what I'm saying? What you're doing is really, really important, because what you're doing, you're merging. So I just want to explain something to the brothers. The brother is merging two worlds. He's merging a spiritual world from a logical and historical and biblical perspective, and then he's also merging it with a technological modern advancement. So what happens is when we merge these two worlds, it becomes a little bit more clearer that we are losing our morale. The reason why it's true is because we are living in an artificial world, right? So now I just want to explain to y'all, brothers, so y'all can understand what the brother is really, really getting to, and it's very important. We are living in an artificial world. So right now, everything that's happening is happening from an artificial, even the technology, everything that's going on is happening artificially, right? And that artificial world is impeding with the moral world, right? Because the moral world is natural. The artificial world is unnatural. So now, to make this plain, brothers, is that when we live in an unnatural world, artificial things can prevail. When we live in our natural world, spiritual things can prevail. So when we look at that, right, we have the internet, we have fiber optic. Fiber optic is basically the means to transport information around the world at the speed of light. Now, the cloud, a lot of brothers and sisters don't know, the cloud is actually running beneath the ocean, not in the sky. They run fiber optic cables that connect continents. This is information traveling throughout the planet artificially. Now, it's good. It's serving its purpose, right? We can do this right here, what we're doing now because of that. But now that's still artificial, and that's the unnatural world, and we have an unnatural results. Now let's go to the spiritual and the natural world. We used to be able to do these things through the sun naturally. We used to be connected. We're doing these things artificially now because we have fallen from grace, right? This is the state that we're in, and this is what the brother is saying, that the technology is kind of having a detrimental effect on us. It's not doing a proactive, proficient, natural good thing, right? It's doing the kind of like opposite. But once upon a time, when we were in tune with gods, like the gods we are, like he made us in his image. When we was in tune at the time, we was using it in a natural perspective. We can communicate with the sun. Just remember, gentlemen, the sun is our library. When we in tune with God, we can get in contact with the information through the sun.
All right, brother. I'm kind of sticking to what's in the Holy Bible, and I don't know where it says that we communicate with the sun. I want to focus. I know everybody has. I know everybody has different religious beliefs, different spiritual. That's
all right.
I'm talking about this information. About Genesis 11, 1 through 9.
All right. Let me just bring it home. Let me just bring it home, right? In a way. I'm sorry to deviate a little bit. I don't want to go too deep. You're right.
Yeah, and then we'll go to Davion Bay next.
Yeah, natural. When we in our natural self, Dennis, all I'm trying to say, when we in our natural self, when we in our upright natural self, we will be in alignment with God and our purpose. When we start doing things hyper artificially, then things get a little warped. So I agree with you what you're saying. Things, all right? That's all I'm going to say.
I appreciate that. And furthermore, to the point, tech is not moral or immoral. Okay, how people use that tech determines whether it's moral or immoral. I'm saying that your knowledge to create that technology should not outstrip your morality. That's my whole point. Because when it does, you become destructive. And there are lessons in history that we can point and show that that's happened. This is my main point. Don't think, we can do this, we can do that now. We can send a man to Mars. We can put rovers on Mars. We can now, at this point, create, atoms and whatnot. We can destroy particles now. So, we've reached the power of God. What are you going to do with that? Are you now going to begin to destroy? Well, I'm not talking to you. I'm just speaking generally, essential entities. I'm actually segueing over to Davion Bay because I want him to get in too because he's been patiently waiting. And then get the last.
I got one question, brother. One question for you, please.
Go ahead, brother. Let's make it quick because I want to get to Mr. Bay. All right.
How can we, right? What would you suggest, right? Like, as from your perspective in traveling the world. No, it's an honest question. What would you suggest, right? How can we utilize these infrastructures to communicate efficiently for the better good of ourselves?
Well, what I'm saying is I don't think we're going to stop the technology. Technology doesn't stop. It's going to keep progressing. What I'm saying is each one of you guys listening to this, remember your morality. You see, remember what it is that binds you, that keeps you from doing so. Many of us own guns. Many of us have weapons. But, we don't just go out and do things with those weapons just because we have the technology to do it, right? Now keep in mind, what if we get to the point where we have the power to destroy worlds? Like we can, snap our finger or push a button and destroy planets. Are we going to do that? What is going to bind us from creating those sort of acts, even though we have the capability of doing that? This is when you have the power of God, do you have the moral strength and the moral firewall set up to govern yourself like the Most High would? That's the question. Is our knowledge outstripped by, or is our morality outstripped by our knowledge? That's the fundamental question. And I think that's the lesson of Genesis chapter 11, 1 and 9. When we do, we can become dangerous. We then achieve the point and we gain knowledge that we didn't earn. That's what I'm saying here. So we become dangerous. But anyway, I want to go to Mr. Bay. Thank you, Mr. Bay, for patiently waiting. What are your thoughts on this conversation? Or what do you like to add? Whatever you want to add to it, man.
It's a pleasure.
Yeah.
To be a part of this broadcast. I've been watching you for a while, and I'm a fan. But what I see is that values were sufficient for survival. Just like a man that can provide for his woman, he is sufficient until she gets enough, and in her mind, she can explore what else she can obtain. And I'm thinking, so with our morals, it's like, well, since we got all of this, and those were sufficient to maintain this society, because we know that living by the wisdom has got us good. But after that, we want to go further. And like, it's like when you up and you gamble, and it's like, well, I can take more risks because I have more to lose, and I have a cushion. So we've taken the things that we've obtained getting by the wisdom, and we're gonna try to test morality now. We want to test what is moral now. We're on our high horse.
See, I can already tell you got a sliding scale of what's moral. You see what I mean? I can hear the way you're talking. But see, brother, here's the thing. Your scale may not match other people's scale. Exactly. You know, there are some people who say spitting on the sidewalk is a horrible sin, and you like spitting on the sidewalk? Get up out of here. Yeah. There are some people, there are some cultures that existed that believed in human sacrifice. I believe the Mayans and the Aztec. And then, you know, in European, they were like, oh my God, that's a horrible thing. You know, there was some tribes in Africa, they would slaughter other groups of tribe members and be like, well, this is what we do. There's a more, so my thing is, I'm basing the morality that I'm talking about on the Bible. Now, everybody has a different. No,
it's cool. Is that the danger? Because I'm thinking, I was just, you know, I'm Muslim. I was speaking to a Muslim woman in Morocco, and I was thinking that we run into this problem because that place is governed by Muslim rule, and basically everybody is on the same accord. I mean, it's a lot of other stuff going on over there, but I'm saying,
right,
it's easier when it's uniform and it's organized what we doing. But we in a melting pot, and we got everybody around here, and you know, it's a majority rule and minority right. But it's not like that though. It's not minority rights. If you
you basically saying the majority rules, so whatever the majority say is moral is moral. If so, like in Bosnia and Herzegovina, if they decide we just gonna wipe out the minorities because we can do it, it's the thing to do. But damn, brother, don't you think? I mean, I hear you, and that's why this conversation. Now that you have the technology to wipe out these minorities, but you got the technology, you have the knowledge, right?
Majority rule. How did us black men vote for Biden and Kamala Harris? I did 10 years in prison in Georgia when I was 15. How did we get convinced by these women?
I didn't vote.
You feel what I'm saying?
I didn't vote for Biden for that very same reason. I still got black men who are still locked up because of that 1994 Biden bill, which he was very proud of. That in 1995 Clinton. I mean, I was one of them young brothers they referred to as super predator, and I can never forgive Hillary Clinton for that. I can never forgive Bill Clinton or Joe Biden, who stood on that and was proud of that. I couldn't. You know what? I bit the bullet and I voted for Hillary Clinton over Donald Trump. And it angered me for many years because I'm like, I know this woman hates us. You see what I'm saying? This woman called us super predators. And I was disgusted with myself. I didn't vote for Biden. I couldn't do it. I just couldn't do it. I wouldn't be able to stand myself knowing what he did to my own relatives and whatnot. So, but anyway, but that's off the subject. But go ahead, bro. Go ahead.
Just like what I was saying about the woman when she what she had was sufficient, and now she's in this new world. Yeah. And I remember the brother Kevin Sain was saying that feminism can only be in this first world country.
Right. So, it's a convenience. It's a convenience of first world because, and we kind of getting off the subject a little bit, but feminism is a convenience of the first world because we have that technology. We got technology where all they got to do is hop in their Hyundai and go down to the local grocery store and get the food. All they got to do is, whip out the phone and make reservations to go to the restaurant. You can't do that in some parts of Colombia. You can't do that in some parts of Jamaica, Dominican Republic, Southeast Asia. That's not available to them. So feminism, you're going to need some help from these men that you claim that you're solo and independent from in these other countries. But that's one of the other things that technology does. And that was kind of like the point. When life is easier, technology is available, we breed more. And that's why in the next 79 years, we're supposed to go from having 8 billion people on this planet to 17 billion people on this planet, which is why you have populationists like your boy with Microsoft trying to figure out ways to get rid of people. Exactly. You see what I'm saying? Because the technology has made life so easy that we can reproduce. And what's going to happen is, like any organism, there's going to be a die-off. And this is just the cycle of organisms. When they run out of resources, there's a mass die-off. And that's what we're facing. That's what they're afraid of. And we're talking, millions and millions of people. So it's just interesting, but this is what our technology is allowed. It's crazy when you think about it, like, damn, the same thing that makes life easy is the reason why we're breeding so much. And it's the reason why we're going to run out of resources and many people are going to starve to death and die.
I decided, like, I've been listening to you and other brothers. I decided to divest in this and to go into a developing country and start my own economy. I got to do this.
Well, all right. Well, cool, brother. I appreciate it, man. You got to keep an eye on Davion Bay, man. He got a sliding.
Thank you for
you got to watch. I heard you. Like, I hear you. But anyway, man, thank you so much. I appreciate it, bro. Look, Last Saint is here. What are your thoughts on this conversation, man? I mean, I don't think I've ever heard anybody talk about Genesis and the Tower of Babel like this. That this is basically God saying, you know what, y'all not ready for this technology. So I'm gonna scatter you over here, I'm gonna scatter you over there, and I'm gonna make y'all speak different languages so y'all can't communicate so well, so that y'all don't build your technology up, because you're dangerous to yourself. You're gonna destroy yourselves and everything I created if I let you go. I mean, we were created in the image of God, right?
Yeah, that's true.
So we all get together, we could ideally or theoretically, we should be able to do what God wanted us to do. That's build, right? So we could build enough, and we could also destroy what He built. You see what I'm saying? But go ahead, man. Your thoughts, man.
Yeah, that's absolutely nuts. I read the I haven't been reading the Bible. I mean, you got me into going back into it because I was kind of backsliding. Yeah. But honestly, a few hundred. Okay, I'll just say this and then I'll just lead it up. A few hundred years ago, we had trains and we had horseback. To get us where we need to go. Mail took weeks to travel from one side of the country to the other. Mm-hmm. Thousands of years ago, people united to make Babylon to make it to the skyscrapers that we have now. Before God separated them.
I'm gonna ask you a question now. Was it really a tower, or was that analogous for some high order technology? Is the Bible do you take it literally? I mean, because there's some people say everything in the Word in the Bible is literally, or are we talking about an analogy? Was this an analogy? They have technology now, this tower, right? This thing, whatever it is, maybe it was a tower, maybe it wasn't. Maybe it was a computer program. Who knows? I don't know. I'm thinking it was something that man was creating that, if allowed to continue to progress, would show that they have equal knowledge to the power of God, equal knowledge to the knowledge of God, technology which they were not entitled to. You see what I'm saying? They were not entitled to reach the gates of heaven. You see what I'm saying? They were not entitled to know what the secrets of heaven were. They weren't entitled. So the question is, are we talking about an actual tower, or is that analogous to something else? You see what I'm saying, brother? But the floor is yours. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I would have to assume that was a physical tower, because I mean, those people built those towers, then they were going to start making trains and railroads and all that. Because imagine if you had trains and railroads thousands of years ago. I mean, you can only assume a few hundred, like a century or two later, they'll have power lines, they'll have technology that we had maybe, because the people were united before they were separated into different cultures and languages and all that stuff.
Do you get the point where I say that if your knowledge, if your morality is not matched by your knowledge, that you'll destroy yourselves? Because you got the power to hunt. You got the power to hunt because you got knives and guns and arrows or whatever, but you also have the power to kill your fellow human being with those same knives and guns and everything you have. You see what I mean? And do so unfairly.
Yeah.
I think that, and I want everybody to get this, man. I'm just challenging you. I'm not saying I'm right. I'm not saying I'm wrong. I'm simply challenging you to make sure you don't forget your morality on your march through life, on your march, you know, as human beings, on our march into the future with technology, going to Mars, all this stuff. Most of you guys, you'll be around for the next 50 years, and you'll see as we progress. But don't forget your morality, because we're getting to the point, and there was some studies out, I read some articles where they've actually destroyed matter before. They have where they were able to destroy matter. So if you can destroy matter on that scale, that means you can also at some point get to the point where you can destroy worlds that God created. So you are now getting to the point where your knowledge matches that of God. That's my whole point. But does your morality match that of God? You understand what I'm saying, last thing?
Yeah, I do, because you know, when God created us, He said He created us in our own image.
Yeah.
And as the technology gets better, I mean, Elon Musk is about to send people to Mars.
Yeah.
And in 2 centuries that people are going to be in it's going to be planetary.
Yeah.
So in my opinion, I think morality elevates with power. So people like Bill Gates, they have absolute power, because they have money to back them up on it. So their ideals change. Like, the Scientology people, as crazy as they are.
Well, whatever your religion is, I'm just going by this ancient book, this 2,000 years old, called the Holy Bible. And this is a lesson that our ancients wanted to teach us. I think the story, I don't think I've ever heard a preacher pull this lesson out of the story of Babylon. I don't think have you guys, anybody ever heard their preacher say, look, this story is about when your knowledge is not matched by your morality. You see what I'm saying? God said, we got to slow y'all down. We're going to send you over here, send you over there, make you speak different languages. That's kind of what I think has happened. Not because God thought it was best for us to do that, because we would have destroyed ourselves and destroyed our creation. I think that's the end point of that. That's what I think. And I want you guys to tell me I'm wrong. Like, I want you guys, even those who look at this later on, when you look at the comments, this dude, Dennis, stick to practicing law. You see what I'm saying? This is why you're wrong, blah, blah, blah. I want to be proven wrong, because that lets me know that, that I'm on the right path, and I'm challenging you guys to reinvest in this Holy Scripture. That's what I'm asking you to do. Our great teacher, he said, don't forsake the Bible. You see what I'm saying? Dr. John Henry Clark. I don't know if you guys know him, but he was a great African scholar, studied all this stuff. And, I know the Bible is this, the Bible's that, but he said this: don't leave the Bible. There's great lessons in there, brothers. And at this time in our lives, at this point, in this juncture where we are here in the United States as Black men, don't forsake this word, because this is a story about our people. You see what I'm saying? These are African people, black and brown people in this book. This is who they're talking about. All right. But either way, I appreciate you guys. God bless you. This has been a wonderful conversation. I've enjoyed it. It's been spirited. I know I might have stepped on some people's toes. I appreciate what we're doing here, man. This is cool stuff, man. But either way, look, I don't have anything else to say. What we'll do is we'll give everybody one more minute to wrap it up. You know what I'm saying? So we'll start with Keith Lashley. We'll go to Tyson, Essential Entities, Davion Bay, and The Last Saint. All right. So let's go ahead and do it. Ready? Keith, you're up. What are your thoughts on that?
Man. Thanks for having me here, and it's been great listening to your input and the input of others. Really appreciate it. My thoughts are that it's good that you're just bringing this out here so people can think about it, because we all have different views. People come from different tech backgrounds, from different religious backgrounds, and we can just hear each other. It's very great. Thanks. Thank you.
I appreciate it. I hope everybody's angry. That's what I hope. I hope the Muslims and the Christians and the Baptists and the Hebrew Israelite, I hope everybody's angry with me right now, because at least you're talking about this word. That's all I want you to do. I want you to talk about what's in this Bible. Tyson, man, you got 1 minute, man. What are you doing? Y'all get the likes up if you appreciate this level of discourse. Hit the like button if you appreciate what we're doing. Contribute to the Super Chat, the Cash App, and the PayPal. But go ahead, Tyson.
If Moses wrote the first 5 books of the Bible, which is the Torah, which is the Pentateuch, which is the Mosaic Law, Acts chapter 7, verse 22 says that Moses learned everything in Egypt. Acts chapter 7, verse 22 says that he learned all the knowledge of the Egyptians and became wise in his words and deeds. There's a science to it. There's a science to it. I mean, Jesus walking on water meant that he was in control of his emotions. If you want to understand the Bible, you got to go to Egypt.
Hold on a minute, brother. Hold on, Tyson. You hear Jesus walking on water? I ain't never heard that before. I'm gonna have to investigate that. That's gonna be something I have to dig into. Is that what he meant by that? Interesting.
That's what.
Go ahead. I didn't mean to cut you off. I didn't mean to cut you off. Go ahead. That's very interesting.
Bible is allegory. It's mythology. It's all that stuff. I mean, you talked about
interesting.
You talked. Man, go back to Dr. Ben Yakiman. Every one of his lectures, on YouTube, he says at the beginning of the lecture, he talks about Adam and Eve never existed, and then he talks about the Bible like it's a genealogy.
All right. Well, I appreciate. Look, everybody has different.
If they never existed, he's telling you that everything else that comes from Adam and Eve is an allegory.
Okay, so I appreciate that, and I know you've stepped on a lot of people's toes. Okay, I've actually heard that before. I've heard some other scholars. I ain't gonna touch that. I'm gonna stick with the comment. This word here is true and knowledgeable. There are facts in here. There is a rule. This is the word of God. It's worked for me. And I'm not discounting what you're saying. I'm just saying everybody got different views. I appreciate your time. You came in here and started the fight. I'm gonna let you. You got to go cool off now, man. You got to cool off. You started the trouble. I gave you 1 minute, and look what you did. Now they want to talk for another 35, 40 minutes. I gotta go to sleep. But anyway, Davion Bay, man, I gave him like 5 minutes. You at least got 2 minutes, and then we're gonna go to the last thing. What are your thoughts on this thing, man?
So, can you hear me?
Well, yeah, we heard you first time. We hear you now. Let's see what you're gonna say now. Go ahead.
There is a lot of artificial covering going on, because I know that when I deviate from my morals and values, I get slammed on my head. It happens every time. But in this society, just like with the out of wedlock kids, okay, the government give them money so they don't need nobody, so they make it fair seeming.
Yeah.
So I
think we're gonna have to bring you back with my brother, Mr. Palmer from Baby Mama Terrace, and we're gonna have to let you get all that out of you, brother. We got to get that all. We got to let the saints gather around him and get all that out.
But do you see the artificial covering though?
I do, brother. I do. That's not really the conversation we having today, but
yeah, I understand. But that's what I'm saying. Like with the technology,
we're not talking about baby mamas.
Things that not good seem like they are good because I'm covering you, and and the consequences of that, you're not feeling that.
Yeah, I feel you, brother. I'm with you. We with you, brother. We with you. We gonna have a baby mama issue. We're gonna talk about our baby mamas. All of us gonna get together. Maybe in a couple of weeks we'll do that. Maybe right before Easter we'll have that. We'll talk about.
And I ain't got no kid.
Okay, I feel, but I feel you theoretically. So I appreciate you, man. But anyway, thanks, bro. Last thing, man. Look, basically all I'm saying is let's reinvest in the word. You mentioned yourself that listening to what we got going on here. I know for the past couple of maybe a month or two, I've been talking about women of the Bible from a red pill perspective. And I know that opened a lot of eyes. It made it real to some people because you're like, man, they got the same characteristics as my ex-girlfriend. Man, you see what I'm saying? It's real. You see what I mean? This word is real. And I'm telling you guys, it's helped me tremendously. You know, in my books, Rules to Live By, How to Maintain Peace of Mind and Happiness in a Conflicted World, I basically took 7 years to go through the Bible and figure out, like, damn, all this stuff I'm going through myself, these people been going through it before. These men been doing the same thing. So it's not just me. See, we come on this page and we vent and we talk about the issues, and it's so liberating to you guys because you think, man, I thought I was the only one. But then if you read the Bible, they've been going through it for the last 2,000 years. So you don't need Uncle D. I'm not going to be here forever. But this word is here for a reason. It's lasted 2,000 years, and I want you brothers to save yourselves. You see what I'm saying? I'm self-taught. I taught myself Spanish. I taught myself how to practice law. I taught myself how to rap songs, even though y'all don't necessarily like them all the time. That's all right. I still taught myself I'm doing a good job. The Latino people like it. I taught myself how to act. I taught myself how to start shows. You see what I'm saying? You can teach yourself how to save yourself. This word is right here. This is an instruction manual for you brothers. That's what I'm trying to. There's power in this. You see what I'm saying? So you know. But anyway, again, this is our ancestors speaking to us. You know, giving us instructions on how we should maneuver through life and what's going to happen if you do that. What's going to happen if you do that? And what I've determined here, if your knowledge outstrips your morality, then you're gonna destroy yourself. You see what I'm saying? Your society will destroy itself because you have just as much capability to build as you do destroy. And yeah, your knowledge allows you to build, but the same thing you build, you can destroy. You see what I'm saying? But anyway, last thing, man, what are your thoughts on that? I think it's a beautiful conversation, but go ahead, man. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, that's perfect. Since I kind of got lost when that guy said that Jesus didn't walk on water. Because I mean, there was
no. What he said was that was analogous for Jesus was able to control his emotions. You see what I'm saying? A lot of the brothers, like back in the day when I was young, they had like all kind of. They had 5%ers and all this stuff, and they would say stuff like higher self, higher self. I'm like, what are you talking about? He said, well, one of the brothers was like, well, you know, when Jesus rode in on the donkey, it was a sign, it was an allegory for him have conquering his lower self. Remember, Jesus had to fight with himself on the night before he decided to allow himself to be crucified. He didn't want to. He was like, you know, he was fighting with himself, right? You know, and the devil said, "Look, man, just you know, I just bow down to me, and you can have the whole world, everything you see." You know what I mean? He was tested, but he had conquered his lower self, that desire that he had. You see what I'm saying? And that's why when he rode into town on that donkey, it was a sign that he had conquered his lower self. You see what I mean? And so when the brother Tyson is saying, yeah, he walked on water, Tyson is saying, and this is his interpretation because I've heard it before. He's basically saying he had conquered his emotions, which is one thing that we all need to do. We need to be able to conquer our emotions. Remember on the boat, everybody was scared. Jesus, this boat is going to sink. Blah, blah, blah. All that different. You know what I mean? It's a long conversation, but anyway, what are your thoughts on this thing?
Yeah, the Bible is an instruction guide. I think it's a manual. You know, real people with real situations, thousands of years. I mean, and still going on today. I know the methods change. You know, with different people, different societies. You know, and it's technology, but still, all in all, I think a great instruction manual. That's here too. Expand my mind and listen.
Yeah, man. So thank you guys, man. Look, again, I hope y'all mad at me. I hope everybody who listens to me is angry with me. I dare you. I hope I get angry emails from Southern Baptists. I hope my people calls me out. Look, Brother Sperling, we understand. I hope my Muslim friends are mad. I hope the Hebrew Israelites are mad. I hope everybody's mad. But I hope they then go back and look at this holy scripture, which all of them say they subscribe to, and they read it. That's what I hope. I just hope you say, well, I'm going to read it for myself. Because I want more of you brothers to get in tune with the word of God. I want more of you brothers to get in tune with morality. That's important. See, it's not just Dennis Sperling wants you guys to be financially successful and well-traveled and physically fit and good fathers. See, that's great. I had that a long time. I was set up to have that. But it wasn't until about the past 10 years that I really begin to delve into my own spiritual salvation. Because see, it's not just about the brains and the muscle and the money. It's about your spirituality. Because you want to be able to look at yourself in the mirror every day and be proud of yourself. You want to be able to speak to your children and be proud of the things you say. This is what you want as a man. This is fulfillment. Yesterday, we talked about those higher needs, and I was kind of bringing up Deion Sanders, Master P. They got everything. You know what I mean? But see, they want to be proud of themselves. There's a lot of people that did a lot of dirt to get to where they are, and they can't even live with themselves because they did so much dirt. They're not happy with themselves. So don't lose your morality, fellas. Okay. And again, this Bible, if you figure out what's in here, you basically got a book that's gonna tell you the future. That's basically what it does. You figure out what happens if you do this, that, and the other. It leads to that. It tells you the future, you know. And I want you brothers to have that advantage. But either way, man, this is Uncle D, man. I love you guys, man. This has been a conversation. Yeah, man. Ain't really nothing more I can say, man. So thank you guys. I appreciate Keith Lashley, Tyson Milton, Davion Bay, Last Saint.
Wait, Dennis.
Big shout out to who else? Stanley Collins. I want to give a shout out. What's the other brother that was here earlier? Complex Design. Thank you guys so much. That was a very spirited conversation. And who else? Did we miss anybody? Tyson got Tyson. But either way, man, that's it, man. You appreciate what we're doing here. You like what we got going on here, man. Contribute to the Super Chat, the Cash App, and the PayPal. Tell me I'm wrong. I want to hear I'm wrong. I don't need to be right all the time. I'm a humble man. I like to be corrected when I'm corrected. I'm going to challenge you, but I still like to be corrected because that's the way I learn. You know, and God bless you, and I appreciate everybody who came in. This is what we're supposed to do. When intelligent black men get together, we have these conversations, we talk about it, and we can still walk away in peace and have learned from our brothers. Respect to each and every one of you all. I appreciate y'all. This is Uncle D, and I'm out.